Logan Paul, liar. Brian Johnson, liar. Graham Stephan, liar. Andrew Tate, top G liar. There are many others, but what connects these individuals, even though they are miles apart in personality and looks? Their inability to take true accountability. This is the story of a systematic issue, how narcissism has risen and taken control at the highest level of YouTube, while accountability has evaporated, and what I discovered on the way. Narcissism, an often overused word commonly used today as a triggered comeback response, needs to be defined here for context. The Mayo Clinic defines it as: narcissistic personality disorder is a mental health condition in which people have an unreasonably high sense of their own importance. They need and seek too much attention and want people to admire them. People with this disorder may lack the ability to understand or care about the feelings of others. But behind this mask of extreme confidence, they are not sure of their self-worth and are easily upset by the slightest criticism. And some traits of those with NPH are belief they are superior to others and can only spend time with or be understood by equally special people, take advantage of others to get what they want, have an inability or unwillingness to recognize the needs and feelings of others, expect special favors and expect other people to do what they want without questioning them, and they respond to criticism by having major problems interacting with others and easily feel slighted.
You messed up, you failed, and you're taking other people's money who trusted you. That's why it looks bad. That's why it's a scam.
I mean, if that's what you want, if that's how you want to label it, then sure.
How would you label it? Somebody makes a bunch of promises, they don't go through with it, they don't notify the community, and then they rug pull the liquidity, 90% of the liquidity. What would you call that?
I would call it pretty logical.
Logical.
React with rage or contempt and try to belittle other people to make themselves appear superior. Withdraw from or avoid situations in which they might fail. Have secret feelings of insecurity, shame, humiliation, and fear of being exposed as a failure. I am no psychologist, and I'm not diagnosing anyone, but these examples do line up across the board based on what was shown and appear damning. So how did we get here? What I discovered is, well, we gave them this power in the spotlight. Let me explain. Parasocial relationships are on the rise. For those not in the know, parasocial relationships, as synthesized by Cynthia Vinnie, are long-term bonds created and maintained with a media-like figure that extends outside a listening and viewing session. Think interacting with all your creators on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. If it is within and contained within only one session, it is a parasocial interaction. But both parasocial interactions and parasocial relationships can cycle and feed off each other. The reason why this oddity occurs is because media hasn't existed as long as humanity has, and the human brain is conditioned for social connections. Our brain can't separate in-person from video interactions quite yet, so the effect happens even if we acknowledge it's happening, because we are wired for the socialization. Just like I am wired to want my daddy to notice me. Just kidding, my dad is dead. Data suggests that parasocial relationships are on the rise. This data illustrates that everyone is susceptible to it, especially young people, so don't be ashamed. And do you know which audience type tends to skew for these larger-than-life personalities? That's right, young people. So even though we may know we are not
your friends
and aren't their
friends,
it doesn't change the dynamic. And what do friends do? They trust, they give, they believe. Multiply this by hundreds of thousands of people, and you can see how bad actors like we are talking about can squeeze and manipulate their way to the top. It is paving the way for narcissistic people / creators to rise to the top while accountability evaporates and is non-existent. And ideas expressed in literature like The Coddling of the American Mind by Jonathan Haidt and Greg Lukianoff only reinforce this notion regarding a systematic failure to confront the younger generation and teach accountability. It only shows how this has become exasperated in our youth more now than ever. An excerpt from the book puts front and center on display the extent of this coddling. Within a forum of Brown University regarding serious topics of debate, the author writes this, quoted in full. So the student quoted above worked with other Brown students to create a safe space where anyone who felt triggered could recuperate and get help. The room was equipped with cookies, coloring books, bubbles, Play-Doh, calming music, pillows, blankets, and a video of frolicking puppies. I fucking can't. As well as students and staff members purportedly trained to deal with trauma. But the threat wasn't just the reactivation of painful personal memories. It was also the threat to students' beliefs. One student who sought out a safe space put it this way: I was feeling bombarded by a lot of viewpoints that really go against my dearly and closely held beliefs. If this is the majority of the generation of today, is it any surprise that if a creator cultivates an audience, they basically have them in lockstep under a spell? One could argue that the last line from the quote about feeling triggered because closely held beliefs are being challenged can result in attachment to these parasocial relationships. A cult of personality. You become part of their team and will eat up all of their words. We crave a sense of belonging, and based on one-sided parasocial relationships, you believe you are there. An attack on them is an attack on you and your beliefs, and you will not only defend their honor with pointless arguments in YouTube comments, but disregard any evidence shown to you. It took Steven a year of research and over an hour of video content and receipts combined just to have the space for people to believe him that 𝙏𝙄𝙈 isn't on the up and up. Logan Paul's response? Threaten lawsuits, deflect, evade, and take no accountability. And he had plenty of writers still in his corner, even today. This is a lot to digest. So let's take a pause and answer what you might be thinking. What makes me an expert to even speak on this matter? I'm 𝙏𝙈, an information warden, and someone who has tried to do the right things morally, not seeking personal fame and fortune for it. More than can be said about the money-hungry people that we talked about today. I want to be successful and have enough in abundance like the next person, but not at the degradation of my morals and character. If becoming a billionaire requires squashing everyone beneath me at all costs, well then, I will be happy as a millionaire. Logan and Jake, Brian, other Jake, and more haven't taken accountability, but they sure have made
a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment
and said,
I was wrong and I'm sorry.
Even though they up. Brian may be facing a $100 million lawsuit for his misleading Liver King tenets about eating raw meat though, but I think that won't go anywhere. I mean, how can you not see he was unnatural? It takes courageous heroes to call truth to power, and absolute power may corrupt absolutely, but all hope is not lost. Logan might be the most recent person on their apology tour, bending now on hands and knees, suckling on the teat of forgiveness. Only because he lost the narrative and couldn't persuade enough people with his horrible 2 responses. Not to mention, he was probably scalded by a lawyer that his cases would be meritless and only open up a bigger can of worms for him and the team. But Logan Paul won't be the last to evade true accountability. True accountability happens when we take it upon ourselves and thrust it as expectations on these stars. Otherwise, narcissism and a lack thereof true accountability will continue to thrive and grow in these parasocial relationships we have enabled on YouTube and social media at large. The choice is ours. Subscribe, like, and comment for more videos like this.